The Griffins survive another day as Michael Brandsegg-Nygard's overtime winner sends the Griffins to Game 4.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, including over on YouTube. And Scotty, we stayed up till dang near midnight to watch an American Hockey League playoff game. But thankfully, the Griffins rewarded that effort by us with a thrilling OT winner. Honest to God, felt like the same exact game as Game 2, but at least this time they got rewarded with the W.
Yeah, man. If you're gonna stay up till as my grandfather used to say, big folks, midnight. You you better hope it's in a win, and that is, I think, the sigh of relief there. Obviously not because of our sleep schedules, just because we want the Griffins to keep on going. You know what I mean? Like, this is clearly a really special group that's had a very special season, and I think it's fun when your team is good, and we have not had a lot of that anywhere else outside of Grand Rapids over the last couple of years. But yeah, I mean, this game was kind of it would have been an unbelievably frustrating loss aside from just getting eliminated, because they were, I think, the better team throughout most of this game. Certainly a lot of, the first half of it, but the score was neck and neck the entire way. And obviously it went into overtime and the Griffins ended up getting rewarded. But I think that this was in most facets outside of the score, like kind of a very on-brand, like 2025, 2026 Grand Rapids Griffins game. Just was very kind of white-knuckled, I guess I'll say, the last 20 to 30 minutes of it. And high-intensity playoff hockey is really fun down in the AHL.
Yeah, I mean, I said it before we hit record, like, this was such a dominating performance by the Griffins that it almost makes it difficult to talk about, because there wasn't ebbs and flows of this hockey game. It was foot to the accelerator the entire game.
They played their backs were against the wall, for sure.
They did. And they played a lot like they did in Game 2, and to the same result, just to the different side of the coin on the coin flip that is overtime in this one. But I mean, you look at the third period. I said in the after Game 2, they outshot the Chicago Wolves 13-3, right? This game, they outshot the Wolves 17-3 in the third period and didn't get a single goal scored. They spent the entirety of the first and the entirety of the third, it felt like, in the offensive zone. Second period was a little bit more even with the shot attempts. But like, this was a Griffins team that was determined and would not be denied in this hockey game, and they did not get denied. There are still things to get cleaned up, because the fact that it went to overtime, I think there's things to talk about there. Sure. But like, they outshot them 46-20 by the end of this hockey game. I think Bob Kaiser said that's the most shots on goal the Griffins have ever scored in a road or shot in a road playoff game. 46. That's
crazy.
Insane.
It's a crazy number. It's a crazy number.
And it's because they stuck to their game plan. And that game plan is forecheck the ever-living crap out of the opponent. The Wolves could not stop turning over the puck the entire time. The fact that for the second game in a row, this went to overtime in a game in which the Griffins were dominating as much as they did, it should be a 2-1 series lead for the Griffins right now, not the Wolves. But sometimes goaltending has a say. We've seen that with the Canadiens in the playoffs, right? Look at the Game 7 that they played against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, granted, Montreal also scored 2 goals on 9 shots, which is kind of similar to what the Wolves have been doing the last 2 games. Maybe that analogy is better than I thought it was when I first said it. But it was an incredibly impressive game from the Griffins, and I'm so thankful that they got rewarded with the W, because they definitely deserved it in this game and the last game. But I know hockey sometimes can be a coin flip. Scotty, difference maker in this hockey game. We've talked about already how dominating the game's been, but like, who is your key difference maker? Am I putting this on
I'm
the
going
tee
to
for
take the
you?
layup here. I'm going to take the layup and go with the guy who scored the overtime game winner. I think, it's interesting because obviously that's a fantastic moment for him and a fantastic highlight in what has been a season where I think we've learned a lot from, MBN, but he is a guy that, and it's almost like just us repeating ourselves at this point after every Griffins game. It's just a guy that we are so excited to see translate to the next level because he can be an incredible middle six forward for the Red Wings, in the future, right? Like this is a guy that brings a physical style and an incredible shot with him. And if both of those things can translate, to Detroit long term, then you're talking about a pretty valuable piece in the Red Wings lineup on a night-to-night basis. So I think that this is, again, just kind of regurgitating the same thing we talk about all the time after pretty much all of his Griffins outings. But I think another kind of fantastic performance that was able to showcase how he's too good for the AHL. I think it's pretty safe to say that at this point. Like, he is better than his peers down there, and gets you really excited about what he can bring, to the Wings going forward.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to rehash the whole thing. I'll give you the bullet points, right? Like you were right there, or correct there, when you said he's an NHL hockey player.
Yeah.
Like, this is a guy who's finding his footing every single game more and more, and as the intensity cranks up in the playoffs, he looks more and more like the exact type of player the Red Wings would want in the playoffs, with that high intensity physicality in the offensive forecheck and back check, as well as an absolutely lethal shot. He looks like an NHL player. The question then becomes is how much of that translates, of that dangerous nature of his translates to the NHL level. And that's what we've been talking about time and time again. But as it stands right now, I don't see any reason why he should start next season in the AHL unless he comes out and looks like a pumpkin in training camp. Like, he looks like an NHL hockey player right now with the way he's performing. He's throwing the body around. Scotty, he led the team with 6 shots in this hockey game. Led the team with 6 shots in this hockey game, scored the game winner, and let's not just breeze past that goal game winner too. Like, that was he gets the puck, corrals it at center ice. Shout out Eric Gustafsson for the Hail Mary blooper, the center ice.
For sure.
That was a set play. That was not accidental. They clearly had drawn up, like, just break, go to center ice, and I'll flip this to you. So shout out Eric Gustafsson on that. He gets the puck, makes a slick move through the legs of one defender, uses his body to give himself great positioning to defend the puck, and then goes backhand underneath the
strong hand,
glove hand. Yeah.
Backhand, baby. That's an absolute incredible shot, especially for a game winner. But I do agree with you. I think the most impressive part of that is the body control, right? Like, we talk about the physicality when it comes to hits and when it comes to defense and, like, this physical side of play where the Red Wings lack it immensely, right? Where, like, they need guys that are willing to throw the body. That is also, like, physicality. And that's something that we've talked about with guys like Michael Rasmussen, or like when he was on the team, Elmer Soderblom over the years, right? Where it's like, there is a difference between just being big and being able to, like, finish hits or using your body in the offensive side of the puck as well. That's a two-way street. And I think that is a great example and a great point you made, that, like, that is also part of that goal. Is like his physicality played into that just as much as it plays into the hits in the neutral zone or the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And every other aspect of his game. Like, that goal was such a big boy goal. Like, everything that we've just talked about.
He grown manned him, for sure.
That was a grown manned him. Absolutely. So, and it was just, I remember that goal Scott scored, and the first thing I texted you was, well, I can't tell you exactly what it was. Thank F.
You're going to say that on air?
It was thank F. Because it would have been such a frustrating way to be eliminated from the playoffs. So, Scotty, let's head to a break. When we return, I do have another difference maker in this hockey game, because I feel like it'd be remiss of us not to bring up this player. So stay tuned to segment 2 of Locked On Red Wings. Missed calls and slow follow-ups are silent killers for businesses. That's how money gets left on the table without people even realizing it. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the business communications systems built so you never miss a call. Quo helps businesses keep every conversation organized by letting your entire team manage calls and texts from one shared number. No more dropped messages, missed opportunities, or disconnected communication. It's designed for how modern businesses actually operate, and the part you're going to love is that everything lives in one clean thread: calls, texts, voicemails, and the AI summaries save serious time by logging calls and highlighting the next steps automatically. It just makes your business feel more organized and responsive. Money is on the line. Always say hello with Quo. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnhl. That's quo.com/lockedonnhl.
Quo.
Scotty, I think, head on over to
Thank
lockdownpodcast.com
you.
/everyday.
Yeah, we're not doing that again.
Almost blew past the stop sign. It's on the screen. I got to read it. Head on over to lockdownpodcast.com /everydayer. Sign up for the Everydayer Club. Get access to an exclusive Discord with Scotty, myself, other listeners of the show, as well as get access to ad-free versions of these very same episodes. All right. Scotty, I think it would be unfair of us to say or not mention the performance in net by the Wolves goaltender, Caden Premu, in this hockey game. And honestly, going back to game 2 as well, he had 42 saves on 46 shot attempts in this hockey game. He was unreal, especially in the third period when the Griffins outshot the Wolves, as previously noted, 17-3.
Yeah, I think if you're talking about any difference maker in this game, I mean, especially if the Wolves would have ended up winning, certainly, but really either way, right? Like, the only reason this game even makes it to overtime is because of his performance in net. And I mean, it's a game where you are relieved that you win and you just kind of tip the cap and hope that he can't do that, 2 more times.
Yeah, and then from there, Scotty, when it comes to other notable performers, obviously a handful of Griffins scored in this hockey game. Who do you want to highlight next?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about any of the goal scorers. I do think that there are so many guys for this team that even when they aren't putting the puck in the back of the net are still so noticeable and so dynamic. And that's something, again, that we just don't say about the Red Wings. There's nobody that's like, wow, they didn't score tonight or they didn't get a point, but they had a great game. Sider's really the only person that really kind of could fall into that category on a consistent basis for the Wings. And I feel like the Griffins, and again, this is obviously a historically productive AHL team, but they just have seemingly so many of them. I mean, Anton Johansson throughout the entire postseason has been a huge difference maker, despite not being a high volume point producer for them in these playoff games. And I think tonight was no different. But it's just I know I got really broad on you when you asked for a specific player, so that's not answering your question at all, I guess. But I just there are we can pick a lot of names, I guess is my point. They are just such a dynamic unit, kind of top to bottom.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, that all leads to why they outshot their opponent 46-20, and whatever the wide margin was in game 2, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember it was 37-23, something ridiculous like that. I will pick a particular player here because it's another guy that obviously us as Red Wings fans are keeping a close eye on, and that's Carter Mazur. He opened the scoring in this hockey game 1 minute in, breaks across the blue line, gets to the high slot, and rips it over the shoulder of Caden Premu, making it 1-0 for the Grand Rapids Griffins. That's his team-leading 5th goal for the Griffins in this postseason, which is, 7 games long now. And so he continues to add a offensive spark, along with the fact that early on in that game, Amadeus Lombardi on his knees got cross-checked into the boards by, Legault? And there was a penalty being called, but that is a situation where I have zero problem with a guy like Carter Mazur seeing that, because it was a dirty play. Amadeus Lombardi was on his knees, and then got cross-checked from behind in the boards while he was on his knees. It was a dirty play. Carter Mazur immediately jumped in and jumped Legault. Just automatically took him out of the play, got an offsetting minor, was 4-on-4 for 2 minutes. I believe it was, well, I don't want to try and recollect. They both got offsetting minors. If I try to recollect, I'm going to make it more confusing and just mess myself up. But they both got offsetting minors, and that's a situation where, like, that is the type of hard ass the Red Wings desperately need in their bottom six.
For sure.
I know Carter Mazur's not the biggest guy in the world. I know he's not the, at the AHL level, he obviously scores, but I don't anticipate him to be a huge goal scorer at the NHL level. But it's just that go-getter mentality and the take-no-crap mentality that he brings that bottom six so desperately has to have, that I appreciate about Carter Mazur, and I think will bring value to the Detroit Red Wings in the future.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing that's so beautiful about analyzing his game right now is that it is going to be the exact same in the NHL, right? There's no like with MBN and these other guys, it's like, oh, well, you're hoping that this translates, or you're hoping that, he can do this. And what does his shot look like? It's like with Carter Mazur, what you see is what you get. And that is a beautiful thing.
A couple minutes later, it was John Leonard getting his first of the postseason. That's a guy that the Griffins have desperately needed more of. Scored 30 goals with the Griffins throughout the regular season, but kind of disappeared on the score sheet come the playoffs. He scored a couple minutes later, making it 2-0 on the power play. That is a guy they have got to get going if they want a chance to make a comeback in this series. So good to see him convert on the power play.
Yeah, 100%.
From there, Scotty, the other goal scorer, Tyler Angle. Power play goal himself. Shout out Tyler Angle. It was a great shot.
Yeah,
right over the shoulder, in and out on the power play. Nate made a nice move to get open there. On a great passing play from the entire unit. The assists come from Stahoviak and Eric Gustafsson, so 2 assist night. Great power play goal. That's his first of the postseason. I believe that was his first game back in the lineup. I have to double check on the roster from last game.
I think that's right, yeah.
I don't believe he was in the lineup last game, but just you need that depth scoring too. So the power play continues to hum for the Griffins as they score 2 in this game. 7 opportunities, so I guess you could argue also it didn't, but Leonard and Tyler Angle, the 2 that converted. And that Angle goal was important, too, because that was right after the Wolves took the first lead in this hockey game, and it started to look a lot like the last game where they were going to score on everything, and the Griffins were going to not score on all of their bajillion shots.
Yeah, and again, like if they would have lost, that would have obviously been unbelievably frustrating for that reason. But I mean, again, like you can say nice things about pretty much everybody that was in the Griffins lineup in this hockey game, man. Like I really think top to bottom, they, as you kind of mentioned at the top of the show, like they dominated in pretty much every aspect. Like there's not too many things that they didn't do. It's funny, like for Tigers shows, I break every game down into like what went right, what went wrong, and then other, right? There's not really anything that would fall into what went wrong. Like this is the only thing is just the fact that which is crazy to say about a game that did go into overtime, but they again, we already talked about like the goaltending for the Wolves is really the only reason that they were able to do that. So
there are 2 things, in my opinion, Scotty, that didn't go quite right that I did contribute to the fact that this game went to overtime, and I do want to talk about that in segment 3. Before we go there, I have 2 more quick anecdotes to add about this game. Don't really have anywhere to go with them, but I thought they were neat, so I thought I'd add
beautiful.
them in here.
That's what we call stuff over at Locked On Tigers.
Yes. Every single Grand Rapids Griffin player registered at least a shot in this hockey game.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I thought that was fun. That's stuff. Stuff number 2 is Michael Postava assisted on Carter Mazur's goal. That's stuff number 2.
Did Postava record a shot?
I do. Well, they don't say if he did or not, but I would.
Liar. You absolute liar.
Skater. Griffin Skater registered a shot.
There.
Let me recontextualize.
Both of those are. I mean, we love goalie points. Goalie points is one of my favorite stats in sports. But yeah, I mean, again, the every single player recording a shot is certainly a testament to the execution of the game plan for Grand Rapids in this one.
Yep. Scotty, we'll do another break. When we return, a couple of small critiques I have about this team and what they'll need to clean up to continue to have success going forward. Stay tuned to segment 3 of Locked On Red Wings. The hunt for the Stanley Cup is on, and now you can trade every game on Kalshi. On Kalshi, you can trade every single playoff game, every series, the conference finals, and the championship. On May 20th, we got Game 1 between the Vegas Golden Knights and Colorado Avalanche, and Vegas is trading at just 37% to beat Colorado, which means $100 pays out $271 if Vegas wins. As the playoffs heat up, those numbers move in real time, and you can buy in or out at any time. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house, and as the probabilities change, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi, Kalshi, trade on anything. All right, Scotty, a couple things from this game that didn't go right? So Griffins dominated offensively, had 46 shots on that, win in overtime 4-3. That's all great. Prospects MBN and Carter Mazur had great games again. MBN with a thrilling overtime winner. That's all great. But it still went to overtime in a game in which they outshot the opponent 46-17.
Right.
So clearly something there still didn't go quite right for it to get to that thing, get to that spot. The two things that come to my mind is the penalty kill went 1 for 3 in killing off penalties. They allowed 2 power play goals. And then my other thing is all 3 of the goals that were scored were just, I believe all 3 were shots over the glove on Michael Postava, which is very similar to the shot that was scored to tie the game in Game 2 on their, second of 3 shots in the third period of Game 2. So it seems that Michael Postava of late has been getting beat a lot more clean on shots from distance with maybe some partial screens. And I don't want to hit the panic button on Michael Postava whatsoever. He's been fantastic, and I do not want to place blame on Michael Postava because he's been fantastic. But I also do believe it is fair for us to ask the question, is he maybe beginning to run on fumes because he's been asked to take on so much of the workload without rest?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Like, it's without rest in the sense that he has played every game of the postseason, but it's not as though he's playing every single night. Like, the AHL postseason schedule leaves a decent cushion of games there in between, and even in the first round, in between games to themselves. So I don't know. Like, obviously, who knows? We're not in that room, and anything we say is just a guess. But I find it really hard from a coaching perspective to pull him at this point. I mean, you are at a point now where if you don't play Postava and the Griffins lose, you are going to be dragged through the absolute mud by the media and idiots like us. Like, you are going to be absolutely scrutinized to no end if you finally pull them and then you get eliminated from the postseason in the game that you pull them.
Right.
So, at this point, you're just kind of in a position where if he's doing good enough to win you games, he's doing good enough to win you games, and you kind of just have to ride with it. Unless, again, we're not in that room. Unless, the coach and their coaching staff, rather, as a whole, is hey, are you tired? And he's like, yeah, I can't stand up. Then it's okay, well, then we're going to go with Costa, right? Obviously, they have more intel than we do. But from an outsider's perspective, I would say that it just is really hard to justify not continuing to go with him, I think, at this point.
I'll take it even a step further and say you're damned if you do, damned if you don't if you lose, right? Like you said, if you go to Kosa and you lose, then you're going to get dragged through the mud. I mean, if you go to Postava and you lose, people are going to say, well, you should have gone to Kosa because he's clearly been driven into the ground, which is kind of the question that I'm posing right now. And for what it's worth, correct myself, the third goal that gave the Wolves a temporary lead in this hockey game by Felix Ungersorum was a strong side, short side shot on the power play. The puck went up to the point, came back down the wing, and Sorum just took a one-timer that beat Postava on the short side, and that was the moment then that I was like, maybe maybe he's not tired, but maybe the hot streaks come to an end, so to speak,
Yeah.
right? Because he's been incredibly hot. And so it just, as a Red Wings fan too, like you almost have a mindset of wanting to see Kosa in the playoffs, seeing what he can do, but also understanding that, well, if it doesn't go well, then exactly what you were saying about that goaltending decision, which is why you leave it to the head coach and not Red Wings fans that want to see their prospects.
For sure.
But it definitely wasn't his strongest game. He did enough. He's made some big saves, but I would argue at least one, if not two, you're fair as a fan to say, I wish the goaltender would have made the save on.
Well, I think that's very fair. Yeah, very.
You don't crucify him either for it, because you also understand he's made a ton of big saves every game up in this point. Like, we're not turning on Postava, but we're just noticing. The other thing, though, is like, what else helps kill those power plays is killing the power plays. Like, if the Griffins do a better job of defending on those power plays, Postava doesn't have to worry about making a save. And the penalty kill hasn't been good, and it wasn't good in this hockey game. So that's why I brought that up too. I mean, going 1 for 3 on your PK is not enough if you want to have a sustainable run towards the Calder Cup.
For sure. Yeah, no, 100%.
Scotty, as far as things I want to bring up from this hockey game, I think that about does it. I'm trying to see. Let me check my notes, see if I missed anything here.
I think that's pretty. Like, again, it's one of those games where so much goes right. It's even, like somewhat, I don't want to say difficult, but it's like analyzing games when everything goes so well is kind of, I guess sometimes is like somewhat difficult, because it's just like every aspect went well. And again, like you brought up fair points there at the end, but I mean, they were the better team for all of it. So
right, and I looked at my notes, and it's just like a whole heck of a lot of X player has huge chance, can't convert.
Right,
like that was pretty much all of my notes, and it's like, what should I go over every single player that hit a huge opportunity? Anton Johansson, Eric Gustafsson, MBN, Sheldon Dries in overtime. Like, there were so many guys who had huge opportunities to put this team ahead and then just couldn't do it. Part of that is Caden Premu, part of that is finishing, but nonetheless, the Griffins survive, and we're going to do this all over again on Thursday night. So hopefully they can win and force a Game 5. Remember what I said on yesterday's episode, Scotty? So far, I'm not incorrect. I said that if they win Game 3, they'll win Game 4 and force Game 5. Now, I don't know what happens in Game 5, but I just got to feel
I'm glad you know what happens until then, though. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. My abilities to see the future only extend 2 days.
Got it. It's a 48-hour window thing.
48-hour window to tell the future. Yep. Scotty, any final thoughts, brother?
We ball, baby.
We do ball. We'll be back with a new episode tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Same time, same place. It's your team.
Every day.
Every day.